What happens when your life is going exactly as planned and then everything changes in an instant? Rene survived multiple near death moments, rebuilt after addiction, and emerged with a mission that reshaped how he defines success. If you felt the pull toward a healthier, truer life, this conversation gives you a real starting point. This is the Your Next Success podcast, and I am your host, Dr. Carolyn Sangel. I am a life-first career coach and strategist on a mission to normalize questioning your career, because I believe each of us is made on purpose for a purpose only we can fulfill. The longer we live out of alignment with who we are, what we do best, and why we are here, the more we miss out, and the more the world misses out on what only we can give. The Your Next Success podcast is where we explore how to build a career that truly fuels your life. We talk about self-discovery, smart job search strategies, professional growth, and you will hear stories from people who have navigated big career transitions themselves, so you can create a life-first career and become your own version of authentic success, one that is aligned, meaningful, and truly yours. Rene is a faith-based AI wellness futurist, entrepreneur, and former Division I runner. After surviving a life-altering accident in college, he built a 25-year career in enterprise technology sales, then stepped into a new chapter shaped by sobriety, deep faith, and a passion for whole person wellness. Rob is the founder of Exodus Strong and the creator of Biohackingville, a community focused on practical natural health strategies that support energy, clarity, and resilience. In this episode, you'll hear how Rob's story took sharp turns he never saw coming. From a scholarship-running trajectory to a catastrophic accident, from corporate achievement to addiction, and from pandemic layoff into a research-driven wellness calling rooted in faith. You'll also hear the simple daily practices Rob returns to for real health momentum, and how he now defines authentic success as service and impact. Rene, welcome to Your Next Success. I am so happy to be talking with you today, so thank you.
I am so excited to be here. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, as you know, we're going to talk about careers, career transitions, life transitions, those kind of things. We'll get to all of the amazing work that you're doing now. We'll get to that, but let's dial it way back.
All right.
Yeah. Tell me, where were you born? Where did you grow up when you were really little?
Yeah, sounds good. I was born and raised in Pocatello, Idaho. So a really small town in southeastern Idaho. And yeah, that's where I spent 18 years in Idaho. So obviously my childhood was all there.
Yeah. And what did you really, what were the kind of things you did for fun? What was taking a lot of your attention and your interest?
Lots of, I was really athletic. I was a baby of two other brothers. And so I had two older siblings. One was 4 years older and the other one was 7 years older than I. So I was quite a bit younger than them, but I always had, them to look up after, and they were athletic. And so I ended up being, the sports was my jam, stuff that I really enjoyed and things that I liked. And then through that process, running became, interestingly enough, that was my thing that I just excelled at. I was better at that than anything else. I was a pretty good basketball player and other things, but running, that was just, for some reason, God gave me, a special talent to run. And so I had some really good success as a youth athlete, and ended up being, that was going to be my goal in life, was a professional runner. Well, that was a big part of my childhood, was figuring out how to do that, and then transitioning from just enjoying it to actually making that a lifelong goal. Yeah, then it's just crazy how life turns out, right? There's so many different twists, turns, and I know
Yes.
a lot of.
We're going to get into those, and I'm excited. Okay, and now, but how about a couple other things? Like school-wise, was there anything that was exciting to you on that arena? And also, what did your parents do kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. My parents were entrepreneurs, so they
Oh,
ended up being, my mom owned a little boutique shop selling Birkenstock sandals and women's dresses. And then my dad, he used to sell cars when he was a young man, and then he ended up transitioning into selling golf carts. So he was
oh,
in the golf
interesting.
cart business for a long time. So I spent most of my young childhood, not, I guess not young childhood, but where I started working for my mom's retail shop and helping customers with their, try on their Birkenstock sandals, but then also at my dad's shop helping either washing cars early on. And then as he
Yeah.
transitioned into the golf business, started helping people with club selection and stuff like that. So it was
Oh,
pretty
interesting.
diverse childhood from that perspective.
Yeah. And how about school-wise? Did you enjoy school subjects or
Yeah,
was it just a necessary thing to
no, I
do
hate
or
school.
yeah. Okay. Okay. That's fair. Yeah.
I was not a great, I mean, it was just one of those things I was okay. And the funny thing about schooling for me, which was really interesting, is I just really didn't care up
Mm.
until that was the blessing of having a brother that was 4 years older than I, is he
Oh,
had just gone through things that were, and he would teach me things that he learned. That, oh gosh, and one of the things that really had a huge impact on my life was before I went into high school. It was like he'd just gone through that process, and he's, oh my gosh, he didn't realize that your grades stay with you from
mm.
from your ninth grade on to basically the rest of your life. And
Yeah.
so he made some mistakes and was like, so before went into my ninth grade year, he sat me down. I was like, okay, he says, I know school hasn't been that super important to you. He says, but from now on, everything you do counts.
Okay.
And so that was really informative for me because it just changed my whole perspective on what I need to do with school. So ever since that, literally that summer, I ended up getting straight A's through my high school career, and I got the one B out of my
Wow.
four years of high school, and it was because of my brother, 100%. There's no, I mean, I was a C student, but, on average before that, but it was just like he's like, this is really important. If you want to get in college, you want to do the things. I know you're passionate and you're a driven person, and so if you want to do those, then you need to buckle down. And so I did, right? So that was a huge
Oh.
blessing to have that direction.
Oh, so good of him to do that. For him to
Yeah,
kind of, want the best for you,
yeah,
regardless of however his stuff had gone down and that you listen to it. That's the other thing too. I have two teenage boys, so there's a lot of good things that your brother shared that you were able to absorb and move forward on. So that's beautiful. Okay, so then you start paying attention to school while
yeah.
also loving the sports, loving the running. And then when it came time to, graduate and do what's next, how did you choose and what did you do?
Yeah, that was an exciting part of life. I was like, man, things were going so well. Everything was going the way I had planned. And I'm getting a full ride running scholarship to a Division I college, and all the things that I was, hoping for were coming true. And so it was really super exciting. I went to a school that was an LDS school. Ended up going to BYU, which was I'm not Mormon, so going to a LDS school was different. But the reason I went to that particular school was they were producing professional runners at that school, even back in the 80s.
Mm,
So, and there was, professional running wasn't even a thing back
yeah.
then. And so, but they were doing really good job of not only helping the athlete be a better athlete, but helping them be good after college, which a lot of the other colleges I did research on, it was like they were really good in college, but then they were just burnt out by the time they were done, and they
Mm.
never did anything after. And so, since that's my goal in life was to be a professional runner, I went to BYU, and they were able to get me a full ride scholarship, which was huge because we didn't have money as a family to pay for my college, so that was super important. So just things were just going, just perfect from that perspective.
And then what happened? So now you're in
Yeah,
school
gosh,
and you're
then life
also
happens, right? So
running. Right, right, right. Yeah.
Running
So
was
let's
super exciting. I went to BYU. My first year was super successful from a running perspective. I made the U.S. junior team. I was the second best miler in the country. And so I got second to nationals, and it was super exciting. I made the U.S. junior team, and we traveled all across the world. I did three different country trips, and I ended up winning one of those international races where we raced against the best milers from six other countries. And
wow.
I beat the boy who beat me, and won one of those races. And it was just like, man, I was on top of the world. Everything was going just perfect. And then that next winter, I was out on a training run with my training partner, and it was in the winter in Utah, and I was out in backcountry road, and all of a sudden my buddy, we're on a run, and he yells at my name, and I turn around, and all of a sudden I see this 4x4 truck just sliding right towards me, and I was like, I panicked, but I didn't have time to move, and so I was just like, I'm gonna get hit, and the truck hit me and threw me on my hip and threw me 36 feet. And I landed
Wow.
straight on my face, and just am super blessed to be sitting here talking to you, because I was really close to not making it that particular day. It was pretty crazy. So there's really no reason why I am here because of that accident. I ended up, my friend ended up saving my life. My throat got clogged and I wasn't breathing, and it was took 12 minutes for the paramedics to get there. So I should have perished during that waiting period, and my friend saved my life. So that was ever since then I knew that God kind of had a plan for my life, because I was saved that particular day. And now you fast forward, and we'll talk about some of these things. I've actually had four occurrences in my life where I've almost died, and so wow, I really feel like I'm on borrowed
You really
time
still have
now.
work to
I'm
do. That's the
Yeah,
thing. Yeah, and
I have work to do. I'm so excited to be here because he's definitely not done with me yet.
yeah. Now, what year was this with the 4x4 hitting you?
Yeah, so that was my second year in college. So it was probably 88, 89
How did they
time
even
frame.
call? Like, how did the paramedics even know? Like, if you're on backcountry roads and it's not
Yeah,
like everybody's carrying a cell phone,
exactly. Yeah, there weren't,
and 12 minutes
the
seems
cell
like a really
phones were the
great
big
response time.
brick.
Right. Yeah. I remember like going to the fair or something, and the police would
Yeah,
have these big thing, like just looked like the phone on the off the wall, but on their hip somehow.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
the cell phones we had back then. And so yeah, it
Interesting.
was I think another passer by car saw the accident and went and called the paramedics. And so that's
Wow.
why it took 12 minutes for them to actually respond, because by the time the person
Yeah.
notified them, and then the ambulance got called, and the ambulance got to the place, 12 minutes in an emergency is a super duper long time.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, pretty crazy. So I'm
But even
freezing
to have,
cold,
yeah.
yeah, laying
Yeah.
on the
Even to
side of
have
the
the
road
people in
unconscious.
place. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I bet and your friend must have been just terrified.
Oh, I felt so. Yeah, it's a huge blessing. He has since passed, which really makes me sad, because he didn't make it as long as I did, and I'm the only reason. He's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah.
He literally, my throat was clogged, and if he wouldn't have cleared my throat, I was unconscious. So I would not have survived that 12-minute period if he would not have opened my throat. So yeah, that was
Wow.
just traumatic. It was like one of those things where you're on top of the world, life is going great, and things are going as planned, and then boom, in an instant, your life gets changed. And so that was a huge transition in my life, was that. And I've actually had a couple of those now. So it's
Yeah. Yeah. How did you how did you even start tackling that and what you're going to do next? I imagine getting hit by a car kind of puts a damper on running.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really, I tried to make it for about a year. I tried and tried to come back. And it took me a long time to recover physically. I broke my pelvis in a number of places, and this whole side of my face was literally road rash. I had cuts that were just
Oh,
like
wow.
3 or 4 inches deep in my side of my face. When I woke up the second morning, I looked like an elephant man. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody with disfigurations, but it was just like I looked like a horrible mess, and it was just disgusting. I thought for literally that was one of the hardest moments of my entire life was seeing that, because I at that particular time I thought that's the way I was going to look for the rest of my life. I was just like, I was devastated. I was like, no one's going to love me. It's like I literally every time I say that, it's just I get this lump in my throat because it's just like that is such a raw emotion and raw feeling. It's just like, it's always going to be there. It's just, and so I have
Yeah.
such empathy for people who get to that point where it's just like they have no hope, they have no desire. It's just like everything is, the whole world is against them. I get it. I 100% understand. And so I
Yeah.
had this huge empathy for people that get to that point because life can do that to you. And it did it to me. And so, but I'm super excited to try to be an inspiration to people because, I have gone through, like I mentioned, 4 different times where I've almost died, and God still has me here. And I am just on fire for trying to help people because I've learned a ton about health through the transitions and things that I've done. And I've
Yeah.
learned a lot about faith. And so those two things, I call myself a faith-based AI wellness futurist.
I love it. I love it.
That's my
Now,
new goal in life.
was faith your first go-to when
Oh
you're
gosh,
in that
no.
hospital room and starting to think like you're like and feeling like nobody is gonna love you because of this experience that it's like you didn't choose that you just got you were part of an accident. It's not like you were doing all the right things and now you're literally having to kind of start over. Did you go to faith or did you go to
Yeah, I didn't. I
anger?
didn't. I wish I would
I think I
have.
would have been angry.
I
Yeah.
literally, I was a Christian growing up, but it was a Christian in name only in most instances. I believe I was saved as a young person, but it wasn't who I was. It wasn't a really big part of me. I'd go to church
Mm.
and on Sunday and I would enjoy the worship service and enjoy the message, but I wouldn't act on it from as soon as the door hit me in the butt until the next Sunday. I didn't do anything the
Yeah.
Bible. I didn't go to any other services. I wasn't a faithful Christian, and I really didn't know the Bible. I didn't like to talk about religion or faith or politics. Like, I just those things that I wasn't really good at or didn't really know. I just wanted to avoid. So I tried to
Mm.
avoid the faith conversation for a really long time. I just was like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but then it really, I've worn a cross most of my life, and I wore it early on in my life because I didn't want to be known as a Mormon, right? Which was the LDS people don't really like church right crosses, and so wore it for the 100% wrong reason, right? It's like I
Yeah.
just want to identify as not a Mormon, and
Oh,
now I wear it for 100% different reason, right? Where I know that
yeah.
He's the Lord, my Lord and Savior, and that He died on that cross for me. So it's been a crazy transition to the point where now I'm just like on fire for God and I have a personal relationship with Him. And that transition has been huge in my life. And man, I really, I wanted to give people hope that you can get there if that's something that you want. And I pray that people will have that desire that I do now because, man, it just changes my entire perspective on the world and in life in
Mm.
general. And it's just like, I have hope. I don't care if I lose everything in my entire life from a financial perspective, business, my health, everything. If I have Him, I have hope. And if I have hope, then I can go to the next day. I can go to the next thing and it's going to be okay because I have that hope in me now that I just want to give people that comfort that, man, if you can find that hope, it's just it's unbelievably transformative in your life. And so I am just excited. I think that's an important part of who I am is I love health. And we can get into that conversation why I like health so much, right? Obviously, I was a runner when I was young, but I went through a crazy transition period in my adult period where I just started being really passionate about learning about this body of ours and how God made the body and how we can really help it. And if we take care of this temple that He gave us, we can really do amazing things. And there's so many people that are sick these days that they're struggling and they're sitting on the couch. And if they're sitting on the couch and they're unwell, then they can't have an impact on society. And
Mhm.
so I'm just super passionate. Let's get people
Yeah,
healthy.
yeah.
Let's get them out there, and then they can be a productive member of society and help other people. And so, but if you're sick and you're sitting there Netflixing and chilling, you're not doing anything for yourself, and you're not doing anything for people around you. And I want to change that. I want to help people.
Yeah, I mean, because I went through this, and I think you went through this as well. A bit of I now know, okay, there's performance, there's relationships, and there's well-being.
Right.
And there have been multiple chapters of my life where my performance was in the top echelons,
Yeah.
but my relationships and my own well-being were not. So
Yeah.
let's get
Yeah.
back to your story of now
Well,
you're
yeah.
kind of in the hospital and you're in the middle of college and and you have a second chance and but what did you choose to do and then like what did you get your degree in, cuz for a while you were chasing other things and
Yeah.
now you
Yeah.
know and now I know that there's so much more to the story, but let's catch everybody back up a little bit of like what did you graduate with, what did you choose to focus, and then what did you do, what did you think success was and what were you chasing
Yeah,
then?
that's an awesome question because it was really interesting period because I obviously went through a really difficult time for a year probably after that. It's like, geez, I just, everything I've been training for is gone. I'm trying to make a comeback and it's not working. It's just, so I did go through this period of time that was really depressing and really, I was just discouraged. But at the same point, I had that mentor of my brother I told you about. It's like, he helped me to learn how to study before I went into college. And so I ended up I did well in school. And even in college, I was doing, so I obviously fell back onto that. I was like, okay, I have my schooling. So what am I going to do in this world? And I wasn't sure what I was going to do in the world, but I love technology. And so I started working for a technology company, helping them with their internal business systems. And that I started working part time and finishing my degree. And that really gave me a lot of hope because it was like, okay, I really enjoy doing this. And so I did what the world tells you to do.
Yep.
I went into the corporate world and I just said, I'm going to, go make myself successful. I'm going to go, and I literally did everything the world tells you, right? The world tells you to get married, you have 3 kids, you have a house with a white picket fence, and you get a job at a large corporation, and you have a dog, and then you watch sports and you play video games, and that's what I just dove right into that. And I had a really successful sales career. Ended up getting my degree in information management at BYU, which was basically a business degree, but with an emphasis on technology. And so that really was impactful for me. I was working for a software company, and that software company was selling really fun solutions, and they needed someone to do sales. And so in the Northwest, and I'm like, hey, my wife at the time her parents lived in Oregon. So we decided to pick up and move to Oregon to be a sales rep for that software company in the Northwest. And I spent 25 years selling enterprise technology. Really enjoyed it. Climbed the ladder. I was very successful as a business person, but again, it was all for this person. How can I make my family better? How can I make get my kids in the right school? How can I do? It was like me, 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 me. And wow, right now I'm way, way different than that person. But
Yeah.
geez, that's what the
So
person I was for decades.
how was your like so now your performance is great. How were your relationships and your well-being? On one hand, you're like, okay, well, you got a wife, you got some kids, like
Yeah,
seems
I
kind
thought
but then you
everything
said
was.
my wife at
Yeah,
the time. So I'm like,
yes.
what
Yeah.
happened? Like, did yeah. Tell
Yeah.
us that
So
part.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
my relationships weren't great, right? It was I did have I was married to my first wife for 10 years. So it was great. We have a beautiful daughter with that marriage, and she just spent the weekend with her and my grandbaby. So it was really incredible. So I have some huge blessings from that period of my life. But I ended up getting addicted to alcohol through that period of time where I was like, I was doing, I was in sales. I was out entertaining clients every night. They encourage you to go to the bar after and you're developing these personal relationships. I'm selling technology that's like millions of dollars. So it's like you have to have these deep personal relationships with the people that you're selling to. And my company paid me to do that. Right. So I would
Yeah.
go out and entertain them and I just ended up, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? That was
Right,
my
right.
my mantra. And I just did that and it just became a habit. And I was a very highly functional alcoholic. I could drink, in the evening and not drink all day during work. But then, 5 o'clock somewhere, I would always have a cocktail. And, did that for quite a while. And I think, that was obviously not very good on my first marriage. And that ended up, we ended up divorcing. And then, I ended up meeting my incredible wife that I have now. It's about a year after that period, and we've been married for 25 years now. So have
Yeah.
an amazing relationship with a wonderful woman, and we have a hers, mine, and ours family. She has a daughter, and then I have my daughter, and then we have our son together. So
Oh,
it's a
that's
beautiful
yeah.
life.
So you shifted a bit. So
Did.
what made you, I guess, shift your emphasis, shift your thing? So it's like you're doing everything again. You're doing everything right. You're getting rewarded. You're being well known. You're selling stuff. People are liking you. But then your marriage doesn't work out. But then what shifted to make this you ready to be able to then welcome and be the person that your wife needs you to be, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's a really good question. From a relationship perspective, I think I ended up maturing and I still ended up, with my second marriage, I was still that highly functional alcoholic for a large portion of that relationship because I'm only 7+ years sober now. So it would drink all the way into my 50s. And so I've been married for 25 years. So, 20 years of my marriage was, 17 years of whatever of my marriage was me being a highly functional alcoholic. So that was not great, right? But at the same
Yeah.
point, I was going through that corporate career. And then, what ended up happening that really changed my entire life was not necessarily my relationship. My relationships got much better, but what really transitioned it was when what I call the second truck that hit me.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, the first truck was obviously the physical one, the 4x4 truck. The second truck that hit me was the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, it had a really similar impact on my life as the first one did, right? The first one, I'm on my way. Everything's perfect.
Yeah.
Everything's going great. And the second one was similar respect. My career was going great and I was, doing well as a business person. And then boom, the pandemic hits and my sales position got downsized because I couldn't travel at the time, and I was a traveling sales guy, covered the entire West Coast, and so they decided to downsize the sales team. I'm like, that was the first time in my life that I actually had time to look and investigate what's going on in the world. And obviously, early on, I was scared for my family. Like, how do I keep my family safe? How do I keep them well? And so, but what this did for me, which was really transformational, was give me the skill of research and thinking for myself rather than thinking what other people are telling me. And
Yeah.
some of the things that I uncovered were just devastating. It was just like, what? How is this possible that we live in this amazing country and we have these amazing opportunities, amazing things, yet we have so much corruption and so much deception and so many things that just really, the things I uncovered are just things you can't unsee once you see them. And so this skill of research is I just want to implore anybody to have and everybody to have that don't believe what the media tells you, don't believe what the radio tells you, don't believe what your social media tells you, don't believe what your friend tells you. Research your own for your own and start trying to find resources of truth. And when you start finding these resources of truth, what you uncover is absolutely astonishing. And so that's what I ended up doing. It was early on, it was health. What really impacted me, I'm like, I got to keep my family safe, right? But I remember a big defining moment was a doctor who was getting vilified. They were suing this doctor for billions of dollars. And I'm like, man, he must be a really bad dude. And then so I was uncovering what they were doing. He was recommending vitamin D to help at the time. And I'm like, oh gosh, vitamin D. I think, vitamin D's from the sun, right? No, so I did research on vitamin D. Is vitamin D bad? And I couldn't find, vitamin D's amazing. It's not
Yeah.
bad at all. I'm like, okay, so he must be a really bad doctor. He must have really bad skeletons in his closet. And he must be doing bad things. And the more I uncovered about him, I couldn't find anything wrong with him. He's an all natural, holistic health doctor who's helping people naturally. And I'm just like, I don't get it. So it's like, why are they suing him for billions of dollars? What? Why? So I just started doing the research, and that's when I uncovered what a lot of people understand now that I didn't understand at the time was our medical system is just I call it corrupt in the respect that the people are motivated for money, not necessarily helping people with their health. And they were suing this doctor for billions of dollars, not because he was a bad guy, not because vitamin D was bad, it's because they wanted to shut him up. And it was like, why would they want to do that? Right. So the more that I researched, it was like, whoa, I went back way to the early 1900s where our healthcare system, our medical schools were basically taken over by the Rockefellers. And there's a report called the Flexner Report that if people want to start, having a little bit of research, go do research on two topics, and it'll just transform your entire thinking about life. At least it did me. Was one is Project Mockingbird. Project Mockingbird was a really eye-opening experience for me, and then the Flexner Report. Go research the Rockefellers did with the Flexner Report and how they took over our medical schools in the early 1900s. And you'll just be amazed. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, that's actually really evil of what they did back then. And we, back in the early 1900s, we had about 50% of our health practitioners were holistic practitioners. They're like plant-based nutrition, all things natural, and the other 50% were a normal allopathic doctor. And then nowadays it's like the all natural health practitioners are 0.01% or something. It's like it's just there's
Yeah.
hardly any of them in comparison. And you look at how that happened and how that transition happened. They vilified all those all natural health practitioners, and they couldn't get jobs unless they went through the medical schools that were only taught pharmaceutical based medication. And so if you didn't go to their medical school, you couldn't get a job. And then when you went to their medical school, you could only prescribe a pharmaceutical based medication. And they vilified anybody that was talking about all natural health practices. So this isn't stuff that I uncovered or just that I came up with. It's fact, right? So you can go back
Yeah.
and look at that and you can then decipher, and then you can see how our medical system has changed over time. And it's just really sad. Our system in the United States is much more oriented and controlled by big interest and big money. People call it big pharma, people call it lots of different things. But at the end of the day, there's people that have so much power, so much money that they can control the science, they can control the doctors, they can control the information and how it's disseminated. And it's unbelievable the power that they have on how they can control the narrative. And that's what you'll learn from Project Mockingbird is this CIA operatives who were put into the news media. And at 4 a.m., they get their 4 a.m. talking points, and the news media all parrots the same talking points, but they say it a little bit differently. But you hear it on the radio on the way to work, and then at night you see it on the news, and it's a similar topic, but just said a little bit differently. And then you read it, and you hear it 3 different times by 3 different people, you assume it's true. And they're just masters at disinformation. And so we're being fed a narrative within our country that I didn't think was possible. I was like, gosh, we live in, the United States of America. We're free. And I ended up finding out that we're not, right? From an information perspective, we're probably more controlled than North Korea or China, which is just stuff that I didn't think was possible in the great US of A. So anyway, that changed my life dramatically.
Imagine what your life would be like if your career aligned with who you are, what you do best, and actually fuel the life you want. At Next Success, we support all ages and stages through career transitions, from students exploring majors or careers to job seekers actively searching or reimagining their next move to professionals committed to self-awareness and leadership growth. Stay connected and explore what's possible at nextsuccesscareers.com and follow Next Success Method on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And then how did your, I guess, your view on first it started with kind of health and
Yep.
went into, natural supplements, food and all of that. What
Yep.
changes did you make as you were becoming more aware? Because I admit even my kids are now pretty interested in, a lot of ingredients, a lot of stuff, like there's so many changes that have happened in the last year or so from their
Yes.
interests. And you're just like, okay, I guess we're not buying that. Okay, I guess we're only shopping at these places. All
Good
right. Well,
job. Good for them.
we can't have
Awesome.
that oil anymore. Okay,
Right.
and we're only doing stainless steel. Okay, but it's just an interesting kind of shift, and I
It
didn't
is.
realize how much stuff because you just trust. You think that, there's brands on the shelves that are well known and you think that their stuff is good or that
Yeah.
cereal was actually helpful for you. I don't even think we eat cereal anymore. But
Yeah,
what
our
changed for
whole
you when you
yeah.
started kind of uncovering? How did that look like for
It changed me
your
kinda dramatically in 2 different ways. One from a health perspective, and I'll talk to that in a second. The other one was just a faith-based so that's literally where I found my faith was through
Oh.
this process. So that kinda research skill I was telling you about, I was at the same time I was researching all the medical system and what's going on and why are they vilifying these people and what is a Project Mockingbird and just going down these information, just collection. It was fascinating, but then I was like, I also questioned my faith. I was just like, this is scary, right? This is not what I was really pissed off. I mean, really pissed off early on because I was like, how can I be 50 years old and not know this information? And how could this be the wool pulled over my eyes so easily for that long of a period where I was just doing what the world tells you to do. I was just going along, living my life and enjoying things and doing what the world tells me to do. Yet I was so deceived, and that really frustrated me. So I started researching, my faith, and I started researching the Bible and reading the Bible every day. And then I was researching, is the Bible true? And so I just went through this deep dive on the Bible, and that was super fascinating as well, because that's where I really developed a personal relationship with God was through that period. It was like, oh my gosh, what I could uncover from my perspective, the Bible is like the most authentic book ever produced, and it is real. And you look at the textual criticism, the archaeology, of the book, and you look at the prophetic evidence in the book. It's just like it's incredibly well sourced, and it's just, the information is okay. If that is all true, then I better read this thing because I'd never actually read it from cover to cover. So I read it multiple times. I've listened to it multiple times. And I started studying that. So that was a huge transition in my life. Was just the faith based aspect, and then as I was learning all this stuff about health and information, it was like then I started crossing the two. I'm like, oh my gosh, God has taught us so much in the Bible about how to live. It's like, what does he say about health, right? And then what does he say about what did he have in the Bible, and what were people eating, and what did he tell us to eat? And so I went down this big research on all the herbs and superfoods in the Bible, and then that's what started me trying to create solutions. Almost like, hey, maybe I can come up with some formula that no one ever has come up with. And I was praying and researching, and it's like, help me find something, Lord, that can really help be an impactful solution for people's health. And so that's what I got really passionate about, trying to develop solutions that are going to help society rather than
Yeah.
hurt them. How can I keep my family safe, and how can I develop solutions that bless this temple rather than destroy it?
And what did that turn into?
Yeah, it ended up turning into my life goal and passion was now, okay, great. This is exciting. And we ended up creating a company called Exodus Strong. And the company, we ended up creating this product as I was doing research on all the biblical ingredients in the Bible. There's some awesome things in the book, and there's a lot of healing properties in the ingredients in the Bible. I couldn't find anything that wasn't already out on the market. There's frankincense on the market. There's saffron on the market. There's all these different individual ingredients, but no one had packaged them together in a way that now that we have. And what ended up happening is I wanted something that was just special. It was like, what can make this really different? And I ended up getting, the Lord led me to this practitioner who was selling or had a component. It wasn't selling anything. He had a component that was called molecular hydrogen, and it's this blend that when it interacts with the human body, your body creates hydrogen. And then you start doing research on what hydrogen does inside the body, like inside your cells and inside your bloodstream. And it's amazing. There's thousands of scientific reports that have been done on hydrogen inside the body. So hydrogen in and of itself, and hydrogen, is literally the base element that God created. It's the smallest element that God created. And so that was matched kind of my biblical theme. I'm like, oh my gosh, God created this amazing element. And then when you see the benefits of what it does inside the human body, so I said, let's take the 7 best in the biblical ingredients to enhance what molecular hydrogen does. And if we can do that, then guess what? We can put that into the human body, and then we give the human body what it's missing. What people are not getting in their diet today. When you look at the diet today, 70% of our foods are ultra processed foods. So the nutrients that we're having in our diets today is not the nutrients of what was 20, 30 years ago. We're just not getting the right nutrients. And when I was doing this research on the body, your body needs 96 nutrients every day. And if you're not, we used to get them through our food. But since we're not getting them through our food, because our food supply is really tainted, our water supply is tainted, our air supply is tainted, our food supply is tainted. Like you said, the seed oils are killing people. It's just like there's so much bad going on with our health. How do we transition it? So we created this product called Exodus that is got 7 biblical ingredients. It's got organic barley grass and wheatgrass, which give you the nutrients that you're missing from your food. It's got saffron, which is amazing for calm and anxiety. And then it's got cumin, and aloe is really great for gut health. There's hundreds of benefits of aloe. But you take cumin, frankincense, and myrrh, and those 3 help with inflammation reduction. And I have a podcast that I interview holistic practitioners and trying to help people with their health. And they all tell me that the source of all disease is inflammation. So if you can reduce inflammation inside the human body, then you're going to do your body a big favor. And so by having this product of ours that helps with the inflammation response in the body, and then you look at the benefits of what molecular hydrogen does. The cool thing about molecular hydrogen that I just think is fascinating is it acts as a master or a selective antioxidant. So what that means is it just gets into your bloodstream, and then within all of our blood, we have good and bad cells within your blood. They die off and they produce more. And those sentient cells they're zombie cells. They're just cells that are just lying around that are not doing any good. And those, if you have a collection of those, can become a cancer. Those can become bad things in the body. So you want to try to get rid of those. And that's the awesome thing about molecular hydrogen is it goes and finds those sentient cells or zombie cells and attaches to them and extracts them from the body. So it gets rid of the bad stuff and then helps your mitochondrial process, which is the powerhouse of your cell. It helps it work better. So you have this one molecule that goes inside your bloodstream that gets rid of the bad stuff and helps the good work better. And then we add those nutrients from our other ingredients in the supplement. And guess what? You now have a most incredible base supplement that I think exists. It's got all the nutrients you need. It's clearing out your bloodstream. It's helping you live a much healthier life. So that's what I've been doing recently is helping people with our Exodus product, and we've got some other really fun things coming down the pipe. We're doing frequency research and how to use frequencies to help with the temple. We're doing a lot with red light. It's so good for you because literally what the research says, you go look at what that does to the body. So it'll penetrate into the skin and it helps with the mitochondrial process. So it literally helps your blood repair, even
Yeah.
down to the cellular level. So it is so helpful, the red light and the infrared light, because most of them has it as well, which it will go deeper than the surface level skin too.
Yep.
So literally it will go an inch deeper so into your body and help repair cells even underneath the cover. So it's really fascinating. So we're doing things with frequencies that help with a bunch of different health issues, with allergies and weight loss and pain relief, and with a whole bunch of different health issues. But then we combine it with red light, so we're helping repair the
Yeah.
underlying issues. But then we're helping relieve symptoms with some of the frequencies, and so the combination of those is really fascinating as well. It's all natural, right? It's 100% natural. God created light, right? And he created this amazing temple. So we can use things that are natural and we can help. I've found that if we give this temple of ours what it needs, the right nutrients that it needs, that it heals itself. God designed this body so cool that it literally will heal itself. But we do such a good job of not giving it what it needs and destroying it with the food and the air and all the way that we live today. Our bodies are just under attack constantly with, like you said, even your cookware.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so much. Oh, it's we're gonna be way better for it, leveling up,
Yes, we are. I love the
But now,
fact. Go ahead. I was
go
just going to say
ahead.
one quick thing. I love the fact that people are finally becoming aware of the issues. We're in the Maha movement. I don't care what you think about it, but to make America healthy is a great thing. Like, let's make us all healthy
Absolutely.
again. But it's just the awareness of these things, awareness of seed oils, and the awareness of the cookware and how bad it is, and the awareness of the things that they're putting into our food that is just not healthy. It's just crazy that those things ever got into our foods in the first place. So, you can go do some actually research on big food. There's actually some really alarming things on how our food companies were taken over. And so there's some really Operation Paperclip. If you really want to dig into some rabbit holes, do some research on Operation Paperclip and look where those scientists ended up. They used to be in the tobacco world, and get all those scientists end up going into the big food companies. And so
Hmm.
they ended up creating these products that are highly addictive and have no nutritional value. So they sell really, but they don't help the human body at all. And so when you start researching things like that, you're like, what? That really happened? And then you see it in real life and you're like, oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. So yeah, fascinating.
Now I'm curious because the second truck was the pandemic,
Yeah.
and so that was 2020, and yet we're in 2025, and you're about 7 years sober. So what
Yeah.
changed there? Like what
Yeah. It
what
was,
was what was that shift in your lifestyle? What precipitated that, and how did that kind of come
my
into part of
health. It was
this?
just I was declining mentally and physically. I was out of shape. I was heavy. I was just like, ugh. This life was not good. I didn't have my close relationship with God that I do now, but I still just didn't feel well. And then it's like, man, I've got to make a change. Something's going on with my body. I wasn't remembering things like I used to, and it's just like I just don't feel well. And so literally just one night I was laying in bed with my wife and I said, I'm going to stop drinking. She about fell off the bed because she's been trying to get you to do this for 10 years. Now you're going to do it. But I had to make that decision. Why it wasn't somebody else that had to help me make that decision. I ended up having to make that decision for myself. And I'm so glad I did. It's one of the best decisions I ever made, was to stop drinking alcohol. And man, I just am such a better person for it. My mind started clearing up. And I didn't go through a 12-step program. I didn't go through what a lot of people end up doing. I just was really stubborn and said, I want to do this on my own, and I want to make sure that I can do it, in a safe way. When I was doing research early on, I'm like, how do you stop drinking alcohol? And I didn't realize how addictive it is to the human body. And then if you just stop drinking alcohol, you can literally kill yourself if you don't do it in the right way. And I was like, that sucks, right? I want to stop, but
Yeah.
I have to stop in a healthy way. So I did go see a doctor and I said, hey, I'm going to stop drinking. What can you do to help make myself safe during this transition? And so I was on some base medication for a week or two as I just stopped. And I think of I did do a lot of prayer, and my wife was very supportive, and I did pray through that period. I was like, God, help me get through this. And I got through that period. And it's been a huge transformation in my physical life. I started walking again. I used to run a lot and I hadn't for years. So I started walking and then I started jogging a little bit. And, over the couple of year period, I started running with my wife again, which was a huge
Oh, wow.
pleasure being able to
Had she
exercise.
always run?
Yeah, she was a runner from early on. She ended up running
Wow.
and she was very athletic. And I'd just gotten into, like I told you, the world. I was just like, I was too busy with my job and all trying to chase success that I really didn't care about my body, my temple very much at all. And I was out of shape. I was overweight and I just didn't feel well. And then I transitioned that and man, I feel just so much better and having a blast learn how to take care of this temple. I love biohacking. That's a big passion of mine now is how do you improve this temple, right? How do you do things like cold plunges and what
Do you do
saunas
that?
and why I do
Do you
all things
do you
biohacking.
have
Yeah.
the cold plunging at home?
Yeah, I
Like,
do. I have a cold plunge, and I even right now it's so
wow.
cold in Texas that our pool is cold plungeable. It's 55 degrees. So, I do all things biohacking. I'm having a blast teaching people how to do it too, because I'm really big into to having a routine, right? And you got to make sure you get enough. There's 5 things I always like to tell people. It's like just do these 5 things, and you're gonna start feeling so much better that it gets addictive and then you want to start doing other things. And these 5 are just simple; they're free, right? So it's like everybody should do these. And the first one is just hydration, right? Most people are not getting enough water, and
Yeah.
our body's 60 to 70% water, depending upon what research you look at. But we need I'm about 200 pounds, and so I need 100 ounces of water every day, and I'm
Yeah.
not. Most people don't get that. So get good water into the body, and that you'll start feeling better just because you're hydrated, which is interesting. And then just going outside, these three things you can do together. You can go outside and you get some vitamin D. Remember that vitamin D that started my journey on looking at health? And you get that vitamin D in your sun or in your face, and it's amazing. The first 45 minutes of the sun is called blue light, and that blue light has no UV rays on it. It's just 100% healthy, so good for you. And then you get your socks and shoes off and get your feet on the ground, and it's literally
Mm.
called grounding. And I used to hate grounding. My wife would laugh at me because she does laugh at me now because I love grounding but I hated it early on because she was telling me stuff like this. She's been really good at stuff like this. She loves the research and she tells me things. I'm like, oh, give me a break. I don't want to do that. Then I learn
Yeah.
about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Grounding is
Yeah,
one of
somebody
those.
else has to tell you, right?
Yes, really,
Exactly. Yeah.
yes. She always gets so mad. She goes, oh yeah, the only reason you listen is because somebody else told you.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I love you, darling, but you're right. That's probably the way
Yeah.
I am because I don't trust anybody now that I learned, how to research things for myself. It's like I don't trust anybody when they tell me something. It's like that's just the nature of who I am now. I'll take in
Yeah.
information, but then I got to
And
go
then you'll
check.
go research. Trust and
Yeah,
verify is what it's
just
called. Yeah, trust and
exact trust
verify.
and verify. Yeah, trust but
Yeah.
verify. So anyway, so the water we talked about, sun we talked about, and grounding we talked about, and then the third one while you're outside, you're getting the sun, you're getting your feet on the ground, and that when you ground, it discharges the negative energy and recharges your body with healthy energy, which is so fascinating. That literally is how your body reacts to God's given earth, which is super cool. But then the fourth one is breathing. It's like we all have to breathe, but I didn't realize that if you actually breathe in a controlled way and in a specific way, that you can get more oxygen into the body. You can actually extend your life by 7 years just by breathing. So it's like, what?
Mm.
How is that possible? Right? But literally, you go do research on Wim Hof, Wimhof. He's got some just super easy breathing techniques that you can do. Take 7 minutes, So, geez, spend 7 minutes in the morning, get some sun on your face, ground while you're doing it, and you do these breathing techniques. And geez, in 10 minutes, you've knocked out 3 out of the 5 things, just boom, right there. And super easy to do and very transformative for your health. You're going to feel better. When you do the breathing techniques, you get oxygen. And in fact, when you do it early on, he wants you to sit down because what'll happen is you'll get this oxygen in your body and you can pass out because you just get so much oxygen in your body. It's
Yeah.
like
You're
your
not
body's
used to
not
that.
used to
Yeah.
it. Yeah, which is fascinating. So there's the 4. You do the water plus those 3, and then there's the 5th is just getting the right nutrients, getting nutrition, right? Get those 96 nutrients in the body somehow. And then I always add the movement. You have to move. So there's 5 plus 2, really. There's really 7 of them. The movement is really key in getting those right nutrients in the body, just super duper important. So those are the things I like to at least say, hey, those are free. Do
Yeah.
those, and you're going to transition and transform your life. And the 7th is, you want to, if you're counting, is gratitude, right? And you can do gratitude and/or I do prayer. Because I am a faithful person, so I believe in prayer. But you can use, if you don't believe in God, then at least do gratitude. You can still have this mindset. Your mind is so powerful that if you believe things, your mind can control your body. Like if physically, there's scientific evidence that your mind can control your body. And so just use your mind and it will control the body. And you can tell yourself you're going to be better, right? And then you have gratitude for the things that you do have. And you just transition from this grumpy person who everything's bad to end up being happy, and you have gratitude for the things that you do have, and you just do a total shift in your personality and your mind. And it's fun to get people to just do those 7 things. And you don't have to do them all, but do a couple of them today, right? And then do a couple of them tomorrow. And then you start doing these things. It's so transformative, and you start feeling so much better that you're like, addictive. You're like, I want to make sure my family does this. I want to make sure
Yeah.
my kids do this. I want to make sure my parents do this. And we're just going to have this positive rolling of success and health that's going to transform the world.
I'd like to add another one on there that I had to kind of make a priority. I'm still working on the others. Now, so thank you for this concise list.
You bet.
I had to pause, and I also had to prioritize sleep
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
either
I
there's
can
so
argue with that.
sometimes you
Yeah.
just get so caught up and you're doing everything. You gotta have to go 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 go, and then especially for me, I don't remember like choosing, but as a wife, as a mom of 2 kids, there was a time where I was just trying to do everything for everyone else except for myself. And so I just kind of like willingly chose to be the leftover. And I could tell you what my husband liked or what my kids liked or where they needed to be and what they needed to do. And then we had pets and like just making sure everything, it's like everybody else was getting all of their things and trying to meet their needs, even though I was yelling. So I still had a lot of work to do. But
Don't
I
we
was
all? Don't
not
we all?
prioritizing my own sleep. And so
Yeah.
then, from operating from that deficient state for years and years and years, none of those other things, because there wasn't the foundation, they weren't able to make as big of an effect as it could once I kind of like dialed it back a little bit and
Right.
tried to
Yeah.
understand some of those things too. But
I love that,
yeah,
right? You're right. Sleep is where your body recovers. So if
yeah,
you don't, and that's where it heals too. So you literally need sleep in a very dramatic way. So I think you're 100% right on. Everyone needs to prioritize that, and there's ways to wind down the correct way. And I love to teach people that you need to have a routine, and you need to start getting a lot of the blue light away from your body. And
yeah,
and as the evening comes, you need there's the circadian rhythm is true. It's really important, right? If during the day you need to get out and get the sun and you need to see things, and then in afternoon and evening you need to start diminishing the screens that
yeah,
you're facing, right? You need to get rid of the electronics in your bedroom, and those things are really important. But then your sleep, it is where your body recovers. So very important. Good job. I love that.
I'm working on it. It's a work in
Yeah,
progress. That's the thing.
it
Um,
is.
Now catch us up because we've gone through a massive shift in what you thought you were going to do, what you ended up doing, now what you're doing, how success has kind of shifted. You've got this relationship with God, products
Y-
to help the world, focus on health, and yet there's still two more trucks, you know?
Yeah, the other two trucks,
Yeah.
one was when I was young, I ended up almost dying, and that was I guess, a truck before the truck when I was young. So that was one of my near-death experiences. And then the last near-death experience was literally about 2 months ago. I literally, my heart failed on the operating table. And so I was not listening to the God's helpers, and three different practitioners or cardiologists told me I needed to get a pacemaker, and I was not listening. I was being stubborn, and I was trying to do things naturally and holistically, and ended up, my heart ended, I had a condition called bradycardia. It's just a slow beating heart.
Oh,
And
because yeah, runners have a
yeah,
low heart rate and all of that, and then with all the
that's
other
right.
things you've
And
been
so I
doing.
just attributed it to that, but it ended up being a problem. And as I grew older, it was continuing to go down slowly over time, and it was to the point where it became a big problem. And I didn't want to address it as a problem, but I ended up getting a cancer diagnosis about a year ago, and I believe that cancer diagnosis saved my life because I would not have gotten my heart fixed if I had not gotten cancer. And so it's literally, I tear up because it's just like so impactful to me that I know that God has a plan for my life, because I literally was dead on that operating table. And if I wasn't at the operating table at that specific time, I would not be here right now. And the only reason I was sitting on that operating table was because I got cancer. Because I had the three different cardiologists tell me I need to get, a pacemaker, and it was finally the third one that I saw. And the only reason I went to that third one was because I had cancer. And they said, we might need to operate on your tumors. And I was like, that sucks. And so, they convinced me that I need to get my pacemaker. So I finally decided to get my pacemaker, even trying to fight it for a really long time. And then boom, guess what? My heart literally failed for the last time as I'm on the operating table, them getting ready to install my pacemaker. And
Wow.
they were freaking out because they're like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And they ended up, getting me my pacemaker in, and everything worked, but they literally dialed it down to where it wasn't working, and my heart was not operating. So I literally wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that period of time. So now I have this immense obligation to myself and to the world that God has a plan for me. I could have easily gotten my upgrade four different times in my life, and I haven't. He saved me when I got hit by that first the truck before. We didn't even talk about when I was young. Then I got hit by the truck. Ended up having an accident when I was as a youth, with my heart being almost pierced, my lungs being pierced, and just crazy stuff that has happened. And then this last one with my heart condition, and then getting cancer and having cancer save your life. That's just, how have you
Interesting.
ever,
Yeah.
have you ever heard of that? Right? Doesn't seem, anyway. So I'm on borrowed time, and I know it. I'm on borrowed time, and but he's got me here he wants me to make a difference. So I'm really passionate about making a difference in people's lives, and I don't care whether my businesses are successful. I don't care. Literally, I really don't. But I do not care if all those things fail. I just know that I have to help people. And so I'm really working hard to become, like I mentioned to you, with this faith-based AI wellness futurist. And what does that mean? It's like this AI world is so intriguing yet scary, because all of our AI is trained on the information that's out there, and a lot of that information is bad information. And so it's trained on all this information that Big Pharma has created, right? And all the research that Big Pharma has done. And so you go do some research on AI and you say, I need help with this. And they're going to give you the Big Pharma the answers. And so I'm really passionate about, you need to look at what AI is going to give you, and we need to have this good, healthy information that's natural health and natural oriented, that can augment what the AI systems are going to tell you from a health perspective. And so I really want to help people navigate that problem, because it's going to be a really big problem down the road, that where people just are not getting good information from their health because they're relying on this data that's just bad data. So I think
Yeah.
that's a big part of my future, is just help people navigate that, right? When do I listen to what, right? And so, yeah, I'm super passionate about building systems and solutions that are going to help people get through those.
So, how do people find you and how do they work with you for that kind of help?
Yeah, great question. So I'm building a community called Biohackingville. So excited about that's going to be a really big part of what my life is. It's going to be a community of people that are there to learn about biohacking, right? You want to learn about red light therapy, for example, you're going to have tons of information about red light therapy. You want to do integrative oncology, with my cancer journey, I've learned so much about how to help turn your body from a cancer producing machine to a cancer killing machine. I did that to my body. I'm literally winning that battle right now. I've had stage 3 melanoma that had traveled throughout my body. I stopped the movement of the cancer, and all my tumors are shrinking. They've
Oh, wow.
shrunk 50% or more. And so, that I want to help have a place where people can go understand, how do you do that, right? How do you starve your cancer? How do you not feed it what it wants? And then how do you get your body to get your immune system to work the way it's supposed to work? Your immune system's supposed to fight cancer. And everybody has cancerous cells in the body as they walk around. But what the problem is, once they start gathering and collecting together, and then once they start collecting together, they start, amplifying and going other places. And that's when you get in big trouble. So I want to help people with that. So Biohackingville is going to be a community that I'm just putting together over the next few months. And it's going to have all these resources. And I'm building literally technology. I'm building software solutions that are going to help people navigate this problem and issue. And we'll have resources for you that are free, where you can go find information. And then, we'll have other services and other things that, people want to go get help. I've got some amazing places in Mexico, right, that you can go get some good integrative oncology help and care, that just with some solutions that you can't find in the United States. And so, just since I have this information and knowledge and learning it, I want to be able to share it with other people. I think that's my, mission, is to help people navigate these difficult issues. So biohackingville.com will be the community, and it's free to join, and be a ton of information there. And then I'm building this operating system I call Biohackingville OS. That's going to
Oh,
have
nice.
a lot of fun things within it. That talks about fasting, it talks about nutrition, it talks about meal plans, it talks about all these fun things that are going to really help people navigate this all natural health world.
And I'm big on success, but authentic success. And so that's however someone defines it for them. You
Right.
went through what the world defined as success. You've gone through
Yeah.
all these kind of pivots and eye-opening awakenings, if you will. How do you define authentic success for you now?
Yeah, it's only whether I'm making a difference, right? At the end of the day, when I die, I want him to say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's all I care about. I mean, so if I die and he says, "Well done, good and faithful servant," then I did my job. And if I'm not doing what I need to do to get to that point, then I'm not doing my job. So that's all I care about. I love my wife, I love my family, but at the end of the day, that's all I care about. So
I love it.
that's success to me, is well done, good and faithful servant.
That's beautiful. Rob, thank you so much for sharing a little bit more into your story, into your journey, into the beautiful things that you're building and creating and doing. And I certainly wish you all the best in your healing and in your mission and your journey. And I'm just happy to have had you on the podcast and to be a tiny, tiny part of how you've made an impact to the world. So thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you for letting me share. And I pray that one person today listened to something that's, oh man, maybe I should do that. And maybe it's just, let's just make a change, right? And if we can all make a little bit of change, then guess what? We're all going to make a difference in this world, and we're going to live in a better place. Something we can pass on to our children and our children's children. And hopefully we can make this world a place that we all enjoy and love, and we can work together rather than division.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so, so much, Rob. I appreciate everything you've shared today.
You bet. God bless you.
God bless you. Rob, thank you for bringing so much honesty to this conversation. Your story carries grit, humility, and a clear sense of mission. If you've been feeling your own nudge to take better care of your body, rebuild your consistency, or live with more purpose, let this be the moment you choose one small change and follow through. Thanks for listening to Your Next Success with Dr. Carolyn Sengel. Remember, authentic success is yours to define and includes aligning your career to support the life you want.